Hi, welcome to White Threads FlossTube number 35. Thank you for joining me today. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and I would love it if you would share these videos with your friends if you're finding them helpful or interesting. Thank you. So today I'm going to talk to you about a different way to use Hardanger embroidery. About 20 years ago, and it's amazing that it's that long ago, when I was writing my book, Elegant Hardanger Embroidery, I was thinking about a different way to use Hardanger. And that was using it with an organza overlay. It occurred to me that you could still get the effect of Hardanger with the counted thread work, but you could get a very different look by working it through organza or similar fabrics like that. So this was the piece that I made for that book. This is a bolster, and it has organza overlay on a linen fabric. So it was mostly worked from the back. Well, there was a lot of checking from the back anyway. So I'd work it and then check on the back that I had reached the right hole with my needle. It means that you can't have any cut work, and it's a bit difficult also to have much pulled thread work. So you'll notice that my eyelets, I think they'll come into view, yep, are not actually very pulled. And that was because to pull them would have been not just pulling the linen threads underneath, but pulling apart the many strands of organza. And if you missed one and had it sitting across the middle of the hole, it would look pretty bad. So I didn't really do that very much. So this is the bolster that I made, and I found that it was quite successful. It was not easy to do, but it had a really beautiful look, and I was very happy with that. So that's one of the projects that's in my book, Elegant Hardanger Embroidery. Then after that, I continued to use the technique, and I can't really remember what order I did these in, but this was a bag that I made. I think it was published in an Australian magazine quite some time ago. It was called Opera Bag, I think. And it again uses the same technique of working Hardanger through an organza overlay. So if I turn around to the back, you can see the linen through the organza, probably a little bit, maybe, hopefully. Is my camera going to? Well, maybe you can see it. I can see it when I look at it, maybe you can't. And it also, because I couldn't have some of the other stitches that I might normally use, I was able to use some beads on the surface of the fabric. So there's some large crystals on there, and then there's also some small seed beads as well. So it was fun using Hardanger with a very different effect. Then if you prefer it just with the white on white, this was a little ornament, a Christmas ornament you could use it as, that I made. And it's got organza over the surface of the fabric once again, but it's just a white organza, which means that it's a much more subtle effect. Basically, you're just getting the shine from it. And that one is available as a pattern on my website, so you can search out that. This is probably a good one to start with because it's quite small. And it's just a fun way to try out what can be a difficult technique. And the thing is, if it doesn't work out for you, there's no reason why you can't just use the same pattern without the overlay. So that's a pattern that's available on my website. And then this was a needle case that I made that also has the organza overlay, just to show you that there's many different ways that you can use it. It means that colour is much more available to you, and well, I mean, you still can use colour when you're doing normal Hardanger, but it means that the surface of the fabric can be a different colour than you're able to get with linen and counted thread fabrics. So it basically means that you can't really do any drawn thread work. So you'll see that the four-sided stitch here is worked simply as a surface stitch only, and then there's cable plait stitch here, just a single line of it, and it's not pulled either. Then there are also Algerian eyelets, but they're worked as stars rather than as eyelets, because pulling the threads it's just very difficult when you've got the two layers working together, but also just because of the many strands of the organza fabric, and getting your needle in exactly the right place can be quite difficult. I think that I taught this as a class once, and quite predictably it was a very difficult class because this is a difficult technique. It's the sort of thing that you probably just need to sit quietly and struggle through it by yourself, because it's difficult to see both the layers. You have to work from the back quite a lot, which is something that's a bit difficult to get around your head, get your head around if you're not used to doing that. But it just means that it's a different effect that you can get with Hardanger. There are some other Hardanger experiments that I want to try. I'd actually really like to do some Hardanger on some wire mesh at some stage. I've never got around to this, mostly because I'm always busy writing books, and that would be purely for interest and pleasure, but I'd like to do that one day. The town that we live in, Walcha, W-A-L-C-H-A, it's a little country town in New South Wales, and it's quite well known, well, sort of ish, for its very artistic community. There are a lot of sculptors here, and there's a sculpture walk through the town along the levee banks as you enter Walcha from each direction. So there are 4 main roads leading into Walcha. There is a large sculpture that welcomes you on approach each time. And so just seeing all these large creativity things around the place made me think, I really should do some of that Hardanger on mesh one day. So it's on a large scale, and it would be able to be outdoors. You may have seen people who have knitted, or maybe it was bobbin lace. They've made their front fence out of wire, excuse me, wire lace. Can't remember if it was knitted. I think it might have been knitted rather than bobbin lace. And it just got me thinking, yeah, there are other things that you could do on a very large scale, industrial style, and it's just an interesting way of, well, the industrial mixing with the very feminine. I don't know, there's probably a lot of interesting things that could come out of that. So that's one thing that I need to do one day. I don't know when that'll happen. Probably someone will beat me to it if they haven't already. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you a few different things today, different ways of using Hardanger. I hope that's been inspiring to you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.